everyone to a brand new episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I have virtual coffee or tea with accomplished and innovative early career professionals and small business owners. Now, with me today is the owner of Hello Clutter. Her name is Sarah, and Sarah is a professional organizer. She works to declutter and organize homes so her clients can feel more free and find rest in their spaces. She is located within the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and I'm really looking forward to diving into her journey. Now, before we do just that, I would really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcasts app. Just takes a few seconds to do so. You can also follow us along on Instagram and Facebook. It's at Virtual Coffee Podcast. I also have a new offering on my Instagram. You can either message me or email me a photo of your choice, and I will sketch it and send you back a digital file for only $5. So head over to my Instagram to see a few examples of that and message me if you would like one. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting Virtual Coffee. Now, let's dive into Sarah's episode. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm really looking forward to our conversation and would love for you to just explain your business, Hello Clutter. What's Hello Clutter's mission? How this business come to be? Just give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, so I say hello to your clutter so that you can say goodbye to it. My biggest mission is to remove the clutter from my clients' spaces and simplify their homes so that they can feel free. I've been a decluttering fanatic for a while. I love to help people organize and go through their things. I would do it for my friends and my family. And my second date with my husband was literally unpacking his apartment and helping him organize. He had told me he had just moved back to Raleigh, and I was like, "Do you have boxes that I can go through?" So I knew he was the one when he let me do that. But I wasn't always organized. I guess I love to get rid of things, but I realized that once I let some things go that I was holding on to and really harboring my feelings inside of an item. Once I realized that the freedom that can come from letting that go, and that so many people struggle with that and live amongst all of these things, I really wanted to be able to use the talents that I have to help others find that freedom and give them the gift of that home where they can rest. I think rest is so important, and it's something so overlooked, especially in our society, that we're always so go, go, go. And even around our houses, quarantine hit and we're all still wanting to move, still wanting to do all these projects. And it's okay to take time to yourself and just be able to rest in a space that you really feel free in.
I love that. I love your deeper meaning behind your business too, right? How you were explaining you found when you let go of an item that you had emotional attachment to or reminded you of some memory, good or bad. It kind of was that release. And I totally understand that. And just appreciate that deeper meaning. It's, not just a organizing business you run, right? You genuinely want to help your clients just feel better in their home where they spend all their time, especially now.
Yeah, absolutely. And organizing obviously is the root. I want to ultimately get you organized, but I think a lot of people don't understand that the decluttering part has to come first, or else you're just going to have a bunch of organized clutter. That's not really going to help you. Yeah, it could look cute in a bunch of bins, but inside those bins, it's a mess. So let's tackle that clutter first.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree. So what are the services you offer? Does someone just say, hey, I need help organizing, or how would someone know to call you for help? What's some of your guidance there?
That's a great question. And what I do, organizing in general, people can figure it out, right? People can let things go. It's not something too groundbreaking. But when I really come in to help is when people are feeling overwhelmed, or they don't want to deal with everything on their own because it's a very emotional process, or if they just want that next level of excellence. They watched the home edit show and binge watched that, and they're like, I want my house to look like that, but I don't know how to do it, right? So there's kind of different stages, and that's where my services start with a completely free 30-minute call where I just get to hear your story, understand what it is that you're trying to do in your home and what your goals are, and then I can offer you a service that will, bless your home and get you to where you're trying to be. So those could be in-home organization. So I offer different packages depending on sizes. So something as small as just doing your pantry for you, or I do whole home transformations as well. I do virtual organizing so people don't live nearby, or with COVID, that has been helpful if people don't feel comfortable with someone coming into their home, which is totally understandable. So been doing more virtual this year. I just do some coaching as well. So if someone just like feels that mental block of I want to do this and I know I can, I just need those steps to get started. So offer that. And then here coming this week, actually, I will be launching more of like a course to help people with
Oh, cool.
understanding decluttering and what that entails and how to get started. So I'm super excited about that one coming out here soon.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And do you have I don't know if philosophy is the right word or like rules you have? Like, for example, I'm trying to think, you mentioned you can work, side by side with someone, helping them, whether that's virtual or actually in their home. Do you also, if someone says, "Hey, Sarah, I just want you to do it. I'm gonna go take my dog for a walk while you declutter my house." Is that something you offer too? Or is your philosophy like, we need to do this together because you need to experience the process, type of mindset?
It definitely depends on the client.
Hmm.
Some people are, they don't have, maybe they already have done the purging themselves and then they're just ready for that next step of, like leveling up their space to make it look more visually appealing. And that's something I definitely would do on my own. Usually people reach out though is because they're feeling that mental block and they want to understand, how do I learn how to let an item go? Or like, how do I learn to, like, you do this with me in my pantry, and then I'm going to try to replicate it in my closet.
Hmm.
It might just be kind of that stepping stone of realizing you can do it. You just kind of need a little bit of help. It's kind of like if you think of a personal trainer, like you're
Hmm.
getting into the gym and you're trying to figure out, what the heck do I do when I'm here? I just need someone to show me the ropes. That can be kind of like a good step that I can offer at first.
I like that. That makes sense. So when you go into homes, you're in the Raleigh area, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. But has virtual allowed you to give advice and help others, outside of Raleigh as well?
Yeah, I've been doing virtual. I actually have a client that I'm working with today who's in California. So
Oh,
like that's
cool.
super cool. Yeah, so it's giving me more of a reach that you don't have to live here to be able to help. So that's been super nice.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the very few good things that has come out of this pandemic and quarantine, right? It's just opening up where you can bring value just because you don't need to be there physically. So that's
Right.
awesome. I'd love to hear more about the course that is launching soon. So, who is the course for? Who should consider taking it? Yeah, just tell me a bit more, what you can about that.
Yeah, so it's going to be called Fall in Love with Decluttering because
Cool.
it's launching for Valentine's Day. But it will be just understanding the questions I put on my story a few weeks ago of just what are your blocks? Why is it you like people crave this organized, like quote unquote, beautiful, perfect home? And what's stopping you from having that? And so people sent in what their issues are that they're running into, whether that be time or accountability or just know how. So I put together, it's just going to be like 7 to 14 days. So 7 days of just understanding the decluttering process, what blocks you might have, knowing yourself. So like Enneagram is going to come up a little bit
Oh, cool.
and being able to dive into that and what your blocks might be. And then we're going to take one space. So that's where, since it's virtual, it'll be really easy for people to pick one location in their home. Like this is, I'm going to declutter and organize this space and walking through that together. So we'll be in a Facebook group. You'll be with other like-minded, probably women. That's usually
Hmm.
the target. But all of us to be able to just support each other and know like my goal this year is I've always been a perfectionist. I'm a type 1 on the Enneagram. Like I want like next level like perfection. And my goal this year, like my catchphrase is to be present and just practical over that perfection. And I think that coming together in a group of women who all are in that same mindset and coming from no judgment of just we're looking to better ourselves, I think it's going to be super powerful. And I'm so excited.
Oh, that's excellent. That sounds awesome. And again, just love how you're taking it from more than just like decluttering, right? Like bringing in that Enneagram. That's awesome. Like understanding yourself. I'm also type 1, by the way.
Yes, we're going to be friends.
Yeah. No, I just really like how you you bring other aspects of life into this process. I do want to get into your journey of launching Hello Clutter, but I have one more question just because I find this
Sure.
fascinating. So I think when people think of decluttering, they might think, oh, my house has to be like messy. Maybe someone's like, well, my house isn't messy, but that's not necessarily true, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but decluttering can mean more than just cleaning a messy house, right? It can be, I don't know, how do you
Yeah.
define decluttering?
I explain this all the time. So you're so good. So yeah, there's a difference between mess and clutter. So like my house gets messy, but it's organized. It's not cluttered. Mess is more of like your kids were playing and their stuff didn't get put back in the bin that they belong in, right?
Right.
So like mess isn't a bad thing. It just means your home is lived in, which is normal, right? Like we are
Yeah.
here to live in our homes. It's not like we live in a beautiful like porcelain place palace of like do not touch anything.
Right.
And if you live in that, I mean, if that's what you want, that's totally fine, no judgment. But that's just not, that's not practical, right? Going
Mhm.
back to the practicality. But yeah, so your house might not be like messy where you don't have things to pick up, but it's more of if you have like bins that you just have stuff thrown in and you're not dealing with them and they're just kind of there and taking up space. Like your home is living space, not storage space. So
Mhm.
I'm not looking to just like store all of your stuff and just have, like, oh yeah, that's my junk drawer, right? People always have a junk drawer. It's going through all of those items and being very intentional about what you have in your house and making sure those items serve a purpose and they're not just taking up space for you to have to deal with another time.
I really appreciate that mindset. Yeah, just making sure everything has a purpose or at least brings you some sort of value, right? It has to
Mhm.
mean something. Thank you for explaining that. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So, definitely want to get into your experience as a small business owner and launching your own business. So, what has that journey been like? When did maybe the light bulb go off of, oh, I want to run my own business? Or how did Hello Clutter come to be at the very, very beginning?
So, to start off, I actually was a teacher for 3 years
Okay.
before I made a career change, and now I do have another full-time job outside of Hello Clutter.
Okay.
So I have not always been like, yay, business. I never thought I would ever run my own business at
Mhm.
all. But in 2019, I think it was like October, I binge watched Marie Kondo's show on Netflix.
Yep.
And I was like, wait, hold up. People do this for a living? Like what I already do for my friends and like do in my own home all the time. Like people do this. And I realized that it just like really laid on my heart that I could help so many people. And it's something that you hear all the time. People want to get organized. People like crave that. So that was like in the end of 2019. So in December, I officially launched, which means like I just made a
Nice.
website and that was like the way I launched. So that was super exciting. I helped a few people out and then the pandemic hit. So that slowed things down for me. My now husband, we were engaged at the time. So planning a 2020 wedding was just overwhelming. I had my regular job, just adjusting to life. And I let Hello Clutter take a back seat. And I think I let that mindset of, well, it's not worth it. It's not going to happen.
Hmm.
But thankfully, I actually found she's my business coach now, but she started off as just a friend. And she like kicked my ass into gear and was like, Sarah, what are you doing? Like, you could be helping so many people. Like, stop sitting around and being sad and like, let's do this. So, my husband and I got married in October. And I said, after that, like, it's game time and we are running and we're going to make this thing happen. So, it's definitely been like a roller coaster, but now I feel like we're on the uptick and it feels good.
Hmm. I appreciate you sharing that moment where you may have put Hello Clutter to the side or just like you said, thought it wasn't worth it because I'm sure many other business owners go through that a similar phase, right? Whether because something else is crazy is happening in life or you are focusing on another full-time job or whatever it may be. I think it's important to share that that's okay if you're currently in that phase or have gone through a phase like that. You can always get back to it and re-find your passion for it. So was there anything else besides, your friend and now business coach to help you kind of push through that moment of, hesitation?
My husband is the most supportive man in the whole wide world. Like,
Hmm.
I can't sing his praises enough. Like, and he nudges me without, when like somebody nudges you and you're just like, leave me alone. I don't want to do
Yep.
it. Okay. Like he would just come up and ask and just be like, hey, so how's Hello Clutter doing? Like, what have you been doing for that? Have you heard from anyone? And he would just like put it in the back of my head to be like, ah,
Mm.
he's right. I need to do something about that. Like, so it would help me motivate. So I think my key is just surrounding myself with people who are so supportive and just believe in the same mission. Like without them and without being able to have that support group, I don't think I would be where I am and I would be able to bless as many people as I have.
That's definitely a common theme I hear on this podcast is just having that support network, whether it's family, friends, other small business owners, just any type of community you can go to for that support. Or, even if it's just to vent or share similar feelings with someone. No, I think totally agree that that support network in whatever way that is for you is so, so important. Any other, advice that comes top of mind for other small business owners, maybe other lessons you've learned along the way or pivotal moments you've had in your business journey?
I think, and you mentioned community, which is so huge. I should have thought of that before too. uh, but yeah, just being able to, I love seeing, and some of the women that you've had on too. Like I
Mm,
look up to Courtney from Raleigh Cheesy. Like
yep.
I want to be her best friend. I swear. I probably like
Hmm.
creepily message her. I'm just like, hey, I'm still right here. I want to organize your house and be your friend. But her and like listening to, I think the last episode was Junie Bees. Like
Yep.
all of these wonderful women who have been able to go through that and not being afraid to like reach out and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Like, what have you done? And even other organizers who aren't here in like my network in the Raleigh area, I've reached out, I've kind of just slid into some DMs of like, hey, how'd you manage this? Or just other Facebook groups, like finding ways to get yourself plugged in and knowing you're not alone. You haven't been the only one who's feeling the way that you are. And just not being afraid to ask for help and ask for support because this community is amazing. Like Shop Small
Yes.
Raleigh has been awesome. I don't know if you've heard of them or like follow her on social media, but
Yep.
all she does is just like promote other small businesses. Like what? You're doing that on your own time, like just for fun to help people? Like that's amazing.
Hmm.
So just being able to reach out and know that there's going to be people in your corner and it's going to help broaden that reach and you're going to make it work. You got to ask for help sometimes and not be afraid.
Totally agree. And I say this all the time on here, but the Raleigh Small Business Network is just fantastic. And I'm sure other cities as well. But Raleigh just, yeah, even having a podcast, which, is like, I don't sell anything, right? It's more of a hobby for me, the podcast, just because it's something fun. I love talking to others and promoting other small businesses, but I feel connected to the small business world. It's just incredible. Like they just welcome everyone in. And like you're saying, it's just a great community to have on your side.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned you too. Wonderful people like you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, no, of course. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It's just an incredible feeling to like be able to just message someone random on Instagram who you've never met before and start a conversation, right? That's really valuable.
Hmm.
How is it balancing having a full-time job and running a business? Like that is a lot, right? Like how is that going? Like how, do you have any best practices? Are you more focused on Hello Clutter like on the weekends? Do you have a certain schedule? Like good for you. That's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's I'm really sleepy a lot, but I do get good rest, so that's good. But basically the way my schedules work, so my husband and I sit down every week and we do like weekly planning. So on Sundays our weekly planning day and we look through what's coming up and how we're going to segment our time to make sure that we're putting each other first as well. And then also like he actually has his own podcast that he
Oh,
does, so he
wow.
has that. He's learning like web development on the side and he has a full-time job. We're like those people who are just like, what else can we add to our plate? Everything's fine. So I schedule out all of my time. And
Mhm.
so 9 to 5, I'm in my 9 to 5. And I might take like a lunch break to take a Hello Clutter call and things like that. But that time is scheduled just for my full-time job. And then after work, I break down everything that I'm going to do. So whether that be, I need to do content creation one day or, like reel generation or whatever I'm going to do, marketing wise. And then that's a lot of times that I'm doing like calls with potential clients. I might do some of my design planning after work. And then weekends are usually where I'm doing all of the organizing. some
Okay.
of my clients only can do during the week, so I have to take off from my full-time job to do that.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, that's the sacrifice. Like I'm manifesting it. Hello Clutter is going to be my full-time job, so
Nice.
it's going to have to be a sacrifice at some point, and it's not going to be my business. Like I'm going to keep moving. It's my dream, and I know how many people I can help. So it's a lot right now, and it's not easy. And I think Courtney said it too when she did her podcast with you of you have to make sacrifices and it's tough. People might want to hang
Right.
out or you might miss out on some things that your friends are doing, but it's the sacrifice that's going to be worth it.
Hmm. No, for sure. And yeah, that's just in and of itself such an incredible accomplishment to have a full-time job and a successful business that you're running. I just really admire that. So congratulations on that. That's just incredible. And so you mentioned that Hello Clutter, you want to become your full-time job at some point. Any other, big plans for Hello Clutter or for yourself personally? Any big milestones or goals in the future that you want to share?
So I have like certain financial goals this year I would need to
Hmm.
hit to be able to take Hello Clutter completely full time. But that's definitely my baby. I know I mentioned that my husband has that like entrepreneurial spirit as
Yep.
well. So I think we'll definitely just roll and see what God has in store for us. But for now, I think Hello Clutter being full time and I'm not interested in being, famous. Like where like the home edit is dope and like yeah, Netflix show that's neat, but just
Hmm.
however I can reach as many people as possible. And I don't really have my finger on what that looks like yet or what that plan might roll out to be, but I just hope that I can continue to impact as many people and help them feel that freeness, I guess. It's like it keeps saying the same thing over and
Yeah.
over again. It
No,
sounds so
yeah.
cheesy, but yeah, that really is just help as many people as I can is like the biggest thing.
And in new and innovative ways, right? You have your course that's coming out, which I think is that's a very cool way to offer your services. And then you could even I could see you having your own podcast or like a YouTube channel, right? Like just trying to reach all those folks and sharing tips and tricks. And then if they want more and want you in their homes, that's where they hire your services, right? So I don't know. It's just fascinating. I never realized the ways you could take a decluttering business,
Right.
organizing business. It's fascinating, and it seems you're exploring many paths, which is very cool.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities. So
Right.
I'm trying to make sure that yes, I expand properly, but I also just like kind of stay in my swim lane a little bit
Sure.
of, just because another business is doing that, that doesn't mean I should. And I want to, keep my focus. But
Mhm.
I know I think of that all the time of like, ooh, podcast, ooh, videos,
Right.
ooh, this. Like I need to remember like let's just take one thing at a time. Like let's calm
Right.
down. But it's good.
Yeah, is that how cuz I can also relate to that too. Like, I have my full-time job and sometimes, when between a full-time job and then if anything else major happens in life, like the podcast, like my virtual coffee's Instagram, like gets deprioritized, right? And I
Mhm.
hate that it does, but sometimes it just has to happen. Do you have any other tips and tricks or thoughts on that of like how to, I guess, prioritize your opportunities or options, right?
I am a big fan of brain dumping, of just taking
Yep.
everything you can think of, or like anything that you would want to spend your time doing, write it all down, and then really think about that list of what actually brings you joy. Like the point of like decluttering to start is to free up the time that you're not spending in your house cleaning and putting all this stuff together. It's to be
Yeah.
able to spend the time of what you love to do. And I think we feel so much pressure in our lives of, oh, well, this came up, I have to take care of it. Like it's just something I have to do. And like, yes, bills, you got to do, like, you got to take
Mhm.
care of your family. You can't just be like, all right, dog, walk yourself. Like, yeah, there's some things that are just like the basic does of
Mhm.
you don't get to give that up. But like really look at the time that you're spending in these different activities. If it's not making you happy, like why are you doing it? And that's okay. It's just some people, like if you hate cleaning your house, it's okay to hire someone to come and clean your house. That does not make you less than because you couldn't do everything that was on your plate. Like we are human. We cannot take on everything. And like that's where I think just asking for help, I think especially I don't know if it's an American thing, but we are prideful. I am prideful. Holy cow. I will just try to take on everything and just like glare at my husband from the corner of like, why aren't you doing this? But like really it's
Mhm.
because I'm putting it on, I'm not asking for help. Like I just think we all need to evaluate that and our expectations for ourselves and our spouses and our children and our lives are just so high. And that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing to want to strive for greatness and quote perfection, but it's just that's not going to make you happy. Like that's
Right.
not the key to happiness. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it ain't that. Like that
Yeah.
hasn't gotten me anywhere. So I think it's just really, really evaluate what you care about and spend the time doing what you love. And then I think the other stuff will just fall away. You realize it doesn't matter.
That's interesting. That's almost like decluttering your mind, right? Like, so,
Hmm.
because what I'm hearing you say is exactly what you can do for physical objects in your house, but then also for everything on your plate, which kind of lives in your mind, right? There's no, you have a job, but it's not something you can hold in your hand, right?
Yeah.
Or walking the dog. I don't know, just those tasks. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually external clutter is the internal, like emotional clutter that you've been putting off. So
Yeah.
if your house is in disarray and you don't know where things are and you're spending all of your time just like annoyed with things going on, it's probably internal. It's like, let's address that. That's a lot of what the course is of like, right? Like know yourself. Let's figure out what's going on and then we can tackle that project because just the clutter is just going to add to that stress and we want to eliminate that as much as possible.
It's like therapy plus
I know.
decluttering and
I know. I feel
organizing.
like I
Like it
need to go
all.
get to go get
Yeah.
like a therapy degree or something to like add
Yeah.
to my services.
Exactly. No, I mean yeah, just I know I keep saying that you bring it back to that deeper meaning, but you really do. And I think that's what makes your services and what you're able to provide very impactful because it's not just, okay, Sarah, I'm just going to come in and organize your pantry and then I'm going to leave. Like you bring it to that next level. And I just really appreciate that. I think that's very unique.
Hope to leave people in a more organized and a better state than when I first met them.
Awesome. So my last big question here for you, Sarah, that I always end my episodes with is in this moment, what is your proudest accomplishment? Now, of course, the answer can be related to Hello Clutter or doesn't have to be at all. Just that first thing that comes to mind of your current proudest accomplishment.
There's actually two. I like
Sure.
had thought of something and then another thing came up this week that was like, ooh, okay, that's so exciting. So the first one, I mean, it's so cheesy, but I think like that community that we were talking about, like where people post, even if it wasn't like a client of mine, they just like found me on Instagram and they like tag me in something and they're like, look, I decluttered. Here's the stuff I'm gonna get rid of, or here's like my no organized pantry. Like, and just knowing that I helped inspire someone, like literally my heart fills up every time. And I could like get tears in my eyes. Like it doesn't get old. And people are like, oh, well, aren't you annoyed? Like they didn't hire you. They did it on themselves. I'm like, no, of course I'm not annoyed. Like
Wow.
someone saw my content and was like, I can be better and I can do this. If I like can just help fill someone else's cup, like, oh, y'all are filling mine. So that's just it's so exciting. And they're like, yeah, obviously if you want to hire me, like, cool, I'm not gonna say no.
Right,
But
right.
but yeah, that always just makes me feel so good. So I love it. I love when people tag me in those. And then another big accomplishment I talked about earlier, like the financial goals I need to set.
Mhm.
I wasn't expecting to hit the one I hit in January until closer to July.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
so that was just, and so I'm still, it's like baby steps, and I have like
Yeah.
guardrails to like not let myself get overexcited and just like one day be like, I quit. So, but it just felt so good to look at that goal and be like, holy crap, I just hit that. Like that, it shows me that I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right things and that like people are believing in me and in my mission, and it feels so good.
Congratulations on all of that and all the successes you've seen so far with Hello Clutter and all the successes I know you'll see this year and soon. So awesome job with everything you're doing with Hello Clutter.
Thank
It's just
you.
awesome. And you're welcome back anytime on the podcast to, I don't know, share tips and tricks or whatever type of episode you want to do. You're more than welcome back on.
Oh my gosh, yes. And we can talk about our wonderful Enneagram and all the
Yes, let's
things.
do it. Yeah, let's go down the Enneagram path. Let's do it.
I love it. I'm so down.
Awesome.
Just let me know.
Perfect. Yeah, no, for sure. So before we wrap things up, where can people find you in Hello Clutter? Social medias, website, etc.
So on Instagram, I'm at hello.clutter, but everything else is Hello Clutter. So my website is helloclutter.com. On Facebook, Hello Clutter. I'm working on the whole TikTok thing, trying to be cool on that, but we'll see. I feel very millennial-y when I'm on there. But yeah, so mostly Hello Clutter, but hello.clutter on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, I hope everyone checks out Sarah and Hello Clutter and their content. And again, thank you so much, Sarah, for speaking with me today. This was an awesome conversation.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had a really great time.